And so when we start to embrace our humanity, we see that on the kind of the downside, we're going to mess up. But on the upside, we were created in the image of God. And He loves us and He doesn't want to destroy us. Why would He have made us if He did? So let's live for God and do the best that we can so that we get to experience all of the good of a healthy faith in a healthy church. From New Life Ministries, this is Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn. I'm Stephen Arterburn. And Going Deeper is all about taking the tough issues, the hard issues of life, looking a little bit deeper inside so that we can gain some insight into our lives. Hi there. Welcome to episode 36 of our Toxic Faith series here on Going Deeper. Steve Arterburn here. I wrote the book Toxic Faith with Jack Felton, and it has stood the test of time, and I'm glad that it has. Well, I want to give you some final thoughts and characteristics of a healthy church. And first of all, a healthy church is able to embrace our emotions. So you don't hear anybody saying, hey, you just lost your child to an accident. You ought to have peace about that, or you ought to feel instant gratitude, or you ought to forgive that driver instantly. That's just not embracing the reality of emotions. On the same spectrum, at the other end of it, is making emotions everything versus just part of things. In other words, your emotions have a point, but they're not the point. Truth is the point. Jesus is the point. And Jesus, well, it was predicted way over there in Isaiah. He was a man of sorrows and acquainted with the bitterest of grief. He cried when his buddy Lazarus died. Jesus had emotion. He was not Mr. Complacency or Mr. Lovely when he overturned those tables in the temple. He was not happy with what was going on. And so we saw some anger. If Jesus is our model, if we're following Him, we can embrace our emotions. No need to fake it. We can be real and not feel like somebody's putting us down for being real. Second thing is that when we're in a healthy church, it embraces our humanity. As humans, outside the Garden of Eden, we sin. And we mess up, and we need to continue to be taught about God's mercy and God's grace. That God created us, and He knew what we were going to do, and He loves us in spite of it. He doesn't approve of everything we do, but He loves us no matter what. And so when we start to embrace our humanity, we see that on the kind of the downside, we're going to mess up. But on the upside, we were created in the image of God. And He loves us and He doesn't want to destroy us. Why would He have made us if He did? So let's live for God and do the best that we can so that we get to experience all of the good of a healthy faith in a healthy church. And then I've got two final things. One is loving. You'd have to say that a healthy church is going to be loving above all else. It's, when you go to a healthy church, there should be so much love. It should predominate everything that's there. It should be inviting. It should be infectious. It must cause you to want to love somebody else and express that love. But if that church doesn't feel loving, it isn't loving, because we should be able to feel it, not just when people fake it in the greeting line, but we should feel it and experience it if it is a healthy church. And we should just be full of love from God, from other people, so full we want to share it with other people. Then finally, a healthy church is centered on Christ. This is kind of a repeat a little bit, but if it's not centered on Christ, then it's not my church. If it's not centered on Christ, believing in my salvation depends on Jesus and my faith in Christ, if it's anything other than that, then that's not healthy. We don't want to miss the main thing. We want to make the main thing the main thing. Jesus is the main thing. What did He do? He yelled at a bunch of people who were into rules and regulations, and he had mercy and grace on the people that weren't. He loved connecting with people. He cried, he wept. I suspect he laughed. I think he enjoyed life. That's the kind of life we need. Not trying to prove something or compensate for something, but just being who we are as created by God and working so that every day there's a greater chance of something better coming right down the road. That's my series on toxic faith. I hope that these characteristics of the healthy church are things that you'll evaluate your church on. And if they don't measure up, you could talk to the elders, the deacons, talk to the pastor, but you may have to move on if you're going to experience a healthy faith in a healthy church. Hey, thanks for joining me. Next time, start a new series. Hope you'll be there with me. But maybe you ought to tell a friend about all these 36 programs on toxic faith. It might help them be set free. God bless you. See you next time. Bye-bye. Thank you for joining me for Going Deeper. I hope something I've said may have helped just a little bit. If you have a question you'd like me to answer or comment, just email me at stevesocial@newlife.com. I'll see you next time.
If you want to support Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn, be sure to subscribe so you never miss another episode. And if you know someone who would benefit from this episode, be sure to share it with them. See you on the next Going Deeper with Stephen Arterburn from New Life Ministries.